Thank you for getting this beautiful canvas nativity scene. We are going to get started. Make sure you have on comfy clothes. You have your painting surface covered because this is not washable paint. And you have all of your supplies from your art kit ready. So I have all of my paints and I do kind of do them in a little bit of a rainbow order. And yes, my paint plate is very messy. I don't actually have this much paint on there. Also, if you'd rather work straight out of your tins, that's okay too. And then when you're mixing a color, you can scoop it out and put it on the plate. And we'll talk about that, color mixing. I have an old plastic cup. Do not use one you love. My daughter used to do that when she was little, and I'd be scrubbing those cups forever because it is hard to wash off things it's not supposed to be on. And then of course I have all of my brushes. We won't be using all of these, but now you have extra brushes, which is awesome. And then I have my napkins, okay? So I am ready to get started. We're gonna start with the background first and then we'll work our way around. Remember, I have a whole process to my painting, so you just have to follow along and trust me, okay? So here we go. I'm going to do somewhat of a bluish background, but you can always do a black or do whatever you want. I am going to grab a little bit of purple. You don't have to do this, and I'm going to mix it in with my blue. And then I'm going to put just a touch of black. A little bit goes a long ways. Okay, so a little bit of black, and that way I get kind of a fun nighttime-ish color going on here, okay? And you can keep mixing till you like it. Try to keep your mixing pile in one little pile on your plate, and you never want to paint with too much on your brush, so you want to scrape the extra off. That way you don't get in areas you don't want to. If you have too much paint on your brush, that will happen. I'm going to outline each area that I'm painting in. I like to hold my brush just like I hold a pencil, right where the metal and the handle touch. So I'm going to get this outlined just like this. And then what I'll do is I only do a little bit of outlining at a time, and then I fill in. If you want to fill in a little thicker, you can kind of get it a good texture going like Van Gogh did, one of my favorite artists. Okay, now I am going to swirl this all in here. I am not all about nice and smooth. Personally, I like a good texture, again, like Van Gogh. But if you do want it nice and smooth, then what you'll do is you'll go from each area to the edge, area to the edge, area to the edge, just like that. And you can make it look nice and smooth, okay? So I'm gonna get this all swirled in. There we go. Awesome. Here we go. There. And again, we just kind of outline and fill in, outline and fill in until we get it all done. There we go. And I'm trying to be super careful around the stars just because yellow's a little tricky, or I guess blue. If blue gets on the stars, yellow will be a little hard to cover it up because it's such a light color, if that makes sense. So I'm trying to be a little extra careful around the stars. But if some gets on the manger, that's not a big deal because we can cover that up with brown, right? No big deal. All right, so we'll get this all filled in. There we go. You guys could even get yourself a drink, turn on some pretty Christmas music, and maybe make a snack. Make this a whole fun experience. Make sure that you're relaxed and you're just really enjoying yourself. You never want to stress out when you're painting. If you start stressing out, we just take some nice deep rest, right? Okay. Now, I am all about painting my edges, so I am going to bring color over to the edges here in just a minute. I'm working on getting this all painted in right now. There we go. Get that all painted in. So remember, we outline, fill in, outline, fill in. Now I'm a little nervous about these tight spaces in here. May not be the best idea to use the big guy, the big flat guy with the pointy corners. So what I'm gonna do is I am going to do my edges real quick while I have this color in my big brushes. And big brush, excuse me, and then we'll switch to a smaller brush and paint the edges. Now, silly me did not make enough to cover my whole background, so now I'm having to go back and try to make more of this color and match it, which is the tricky part, is matching your colors. Shame on me. And you know what? If you don't match it exactly perfect, then what you can do is just kind of go back and add little pops of your new color you had to mix in here and there. And then it's not noticeable if you kind of oopsied the colors a little, okay? There. There we go. Okay, now I'm gonna put this brush in the water cup and let it hang out. I do have a trick to cleaning my brushes. If you do not really rub your brush, look, right now I'm scraping that off. If you do not really rub your brush in the bottom of the water cup, you're not going to get it clean. It's too thick a paint, okay? So this brush goes all the way to the bottom. And then we can wipe it on the sides just like this. And guys, make sure you watch this recording all the way to the end so you can see my final product. All right, so we rub, 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 rub. Wipe on the sides. If we tap our brush, it will go everywhere and we will splash someone or something that we don't mean to. So I wipe it off on the insides. Then I take my napkins and I just sweep it like that. And I had a lot of paint up on the metal part of my brush. So that's what you see on the napkin. So I'm just gonna wipe it again in the cup and then dry, dry, dry. Okay? Gracious, that blue was in there, wasn't it? Okay. If your napkin gets too wet, you can flip it over, use the other side, or of course get rid of the top one and continue using the ones underneath. Now, I didn't paint my edges. Oh! That's okay, we'll come back to it. Okay, so now I'm gonna switch to this brush. It's the bigger one that has the rounded corners, which is a great option for filling in these tighter spaces, okay? So again, we outline just like this, and then we fill in, okay? Outline just like this, and then we can fill in. So we outline and then fill in. And really, guys, don't stress too much about your background because honestly, we're going to add little twinkle stars and swirls and all that fun stuff on top of our background once it dries. So that means that we're not really going to notice all this blue background as much because we're going to really see the stars and the swirls. That's what's going to catch our attention. Okay? All right, I'm painting right over some of my Sharpie lines, and there's two reasons for that. Reason number one, say you don't want to see the Sharpie lines at the end. You just want it to be only painted, no black outline. Well, the more you paint over them, the more they will disappear. Or it's too hard to paint around some of these. It's just easier to paint on them. And then I can go back and re-Sharpie at the end when it's dry, and nobody will even know that that's what you did. They won't even know that you Sharpied it. They'll think it's paint because paintings are meant to be viewed from a distance, not way up close, right? All right. And remember, if you're having a hard time with any brush you're using, it just may not be the right size for you. So you can always switch to a different brush, no big deal, okay? You don't have to use the same one I'm using. All right, even though this isn't my bigger brush, I'm just gonna go ahead and use it because the blue is all in it and paint my background. I mean my edges, because I do like to paint the edges, guys, okay? And then I'll bring it all the way down the left side and we'll go all the way down the right side And then eventually we'll flip it upside down and paint the bottom. So don't forget that part. I forget that part quite a bit. But we want to let the top dry a little bit. If you are painting flat, which is normally how I paint, it's more comfortable for me, then you could go ahead and paint all 4 sides, and it's not a big deal. That happens to me at least once every art lesson I do on Zoom. Every one. Guess I'm too strong. Okay, so I'm going down this edge. Now, as you're painting, if you see any of these little bitty white polka dotty spots, go ahead and get more paint on your brush. It's like the canvas is screaming at you. Paint more on me. Get more paint on your brush. There we go. That's what those little bitty white spots mean. They're just the texture of the canvas showing through. Okay. Excellent. Now we have a great background, and again, you could have gone with darker, and if it's too light or you don't like the brush strokes, this paint dries really quick. You can always pop a second coat on, no big deal. I personally like it because we have some great texture right now. Now, don't forget, there's all kinds of other art kits as well, not just the nativity scene, and they will be on sale throughout the holiday season. So something to think about. Okay, this brush is going to go in the water cup. We're going to smush and swirl. If you don't want to clean it right now, you can just let it hang out in there. I never leave brushes out with paint in them because the paint will get dried up in there, and then it ruins your brushes. Okay, makes them too stiff to use. All right. So now we probably need to think about the ground. So I'm thinking we could paint the ground next. You could go with just a regular green. You could go with a lime green. You could go with a really dark green. I'm going to show you how to make some different greens. You use what you want. Let's use this flat brush that has the pointy corners. Okay? So I'm going to get a glob of white. Oh my goodness. Glob of yellow. I know what my colors are. Little interesting fact though, my grandpa was actually colorblind, and had I been older when he was still alive and as interested in art and color theory and all of that I am now, I would have loved to have had great discussions with him about what colors he could see and what colors he couldn't see. My grandma would pick out his outfits every day to make sure he matched. Okay, so I put a big glob of yellow, and then I'm gonna do just a little bit of blue at a time. If you do just a teeny bit of blue, you're gonna wind up with more of like a lime green, okay? Kind of like that. If you want it to be a darker green, then that means you have to continue adding more blue. So you just keep putting more and more blue in there, okay? And that's gonna give you a darker green. Now, if I want it even darker, I could put just a little bit more blue, but then here's a little fun fact. I can use red, which is green's complementary color, to make it darker, okay? So, I am gonna grab a teeny bit of red at a time, and then I'm gonna mix that in. And when I mix that in, it's gonna give me a darker green. Isn't that cool? Now, if I go too much red, I will wind up with brown. Okay, anytime you use complementary colors, if you use too much, it's gonna go brown. Now, oh my goodness, friends, I just got blue all over. I don't know how I did that. I need to clean that up real quick. Okay, so we're gonna clean that up. And then I'm going to wipe my fingers. Okay, there we go. So now I am going to, here we go. I'm going to outline again. So we outline these edges just like this. Get that all outlined. There we go. Then you have options. You could just dab, and give it a great texture. You can just continue to sweep it left and right so it looks nice and smooth. You could swirl it. It's really up to you. You can even just kind of flick up from the bottom like this. Flick, 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 flick. just like that. Kind of gives it an actual like grass looking texture. So really it's up to you. Just like using whatever green you want is also up to you. There's no wrong answer when it comes to art. You just have fun. That's the number one answer, is have fun, enjoy yourself. And number two, just remember that if you create an oopsie that you don't like, it's really not a big deal, because we can either A, wipe it off, or B, let it dry and paint over it, right? No big deal. Okay, this is gonna get washed off. I'm gonna go ahead and put my base brown on the Manger. And the reason I didn't go straight to my stars is because I want that blue to dry a little bit more before I get involved with those stars. Otherwise, the yellow stars with the blue background will mix and make green stars. Okay, so I'm gonna get straight into my brown just like it is. I'm not gonna do anything to my brown yet. Remember, I talked about we paint in a process, and I have lots of layers in my paintings. Okay. We go. So get that all filled in. Nice, long, smooth brush strokes. Just like that. Nice, long, smooth brush strokes. There we go. Awesome. Now, if you wanted to, you could fill it in kind of rough, because wood is rough, right? And there's not going to be anything wrong with that. Like, it wouldn't look funny if you kind of just doop, 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 like just doop, doop, dab, dab, dab to fill it in. That would look totally fine, because wood is rough. Has an automatic rough texture anyway. Okay. There we go. Nice. Okay. So now we've got a base coat. Oh, you know what? This is also wood. Let's go ahead and put our bait. While we've got it in our brush, go ahead and put it on here. Okay. There. So now this can go in the water cup and hang out. And I'm a little nervous still, because I can see shiny spots on here, and so that means that it's still a little bit wet, which means we don't want to start our stars yet, okay? So let's talk about how we could make like a skin color, and how we could make some hay, okay? So I am going to clean these brushes out really good. There we go. And if your water gets too yucky, just go ahead and run to the sink and rinse out your water cup and get some fresh water. Okay, remember, you can pause my video at any time to get yourself caught up. The kids always at school are like, how are you so fast? Well, I've done hundreds of these literally, and it's my job, right? Okay, so now let's see. What if I take some white, just like that. I'm going to make a little extra, and we'll talk about why. Then I'm going to grab a little bit of tan, and I'm going to put tan in first. The more tan you put in, the darker it's going to go. Let me look at my original, because I don't want to steer you wrong. And maybe we'll go a little darker. Okay. There we go. Mix that in real good. And I'm going to go ahead and put this color on. So this is a lot of white and a little bit of brown mixed in at a time until I like it. So I'm going to put this color on as a base, okay? And then we can add like a little bit of highlight, a little bit of shadow in there as well, to kind of create senses of, like a sense of wrinkles and folds in her clothing. Okay, so there's that one. Now let's go around Joseph. Here we go. Okay, sometimes I get really quiet because I'm super focused and I don't want to like mess up. Typically at home I paint in like total silence. Don't talk or anything. But now that I've done so many paint classes where I have to talk as I paint because my students, you know, need me to explain, it's gotten a lot easier. But every now and then I do get real quiet because I'm trying to not make any oopsies. But you know what? If we make oopsies, that's okay. Remember? It's okay. Now, if you don't trust yourself with this smaller flat brush with the pointy corners, like right now I've got it turned to the side so it makes a real tiny brush stroke, then you can always just switch to one of the baby brushes. That's what makes sense, right? So here's what it looks like so far. Okay. Just like that. All right. So now, we can use just a teeny bit of this tan that we made, and I'm going to definitely switch brushes to a smaller pointy one, okay? And we can just use a little bit of that, and what if, I'm going to need orange in a little bit anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and make up some orange, a lot of yellow, a little bit of red at a time. Anytime you mix colors, you always start with the lightest one and you put the darker color into it just a little bit at a time. So I'm trying to get all the extra out, and I'm going to just mix over here on this side. So I'm mixing in a little bit of orange into my tan to kind of give me a little bit of a peachy. I am going to grab just a dab of red. Uh-oh, be careful. I'm awfully close to the black. Don't want to mix your colors on accident. Okay, so now, oh, that is very similar, isn't it? That is not even hardly noticeably different. Should we add some white? Maybe? Pretty sure. Well, now we're back to almost looking the same as our tan outfit. So you know what? I think, because oh, I've got blue on my brush, friends. Oh, no. Okay, that's okay. We just wrap a little bit up around our finger, dip it in our water, and then I can just wipe that straight off. And then use a little piece of dry. Wipe the dry on top to get any of the extra off. Rub my brush really good. Get that blue out. Another reason why you really want your background to be dry before you start working on extra stuff. So you know what I think I'm going to do, because this matches their little outfits too close? I think I'm going to darken up my tan that I used for their outfits and make a darker version. So I'm adding quite a bit more brown to my tan that I used on their outfits earlier. And we'll use this. Oh yeah, that's better. And just kind of go over this and make it look darker. And you want to follow the curves. Anytime there's a curve, follow them. Anytime it's straight up and down, go straight up and down. There we go. And I'm purposefully not filling these in nice and smooth. There we go. Nice. Okay. That is much better, because now we can really see the difference between their skin and oh my goodness, what word am I going for? Their outfit, their clothing. Okay. Here we go. fabulous. Okay, so now, oh yeah, we have to make Jesus's clothes, little swaddling clothes darker so they don't blend into his face, right? Okay, now while this is all wet, it's probably a great idea to dip straight in your brown. So I left the tan in my brush, dip straight in my brown, and go ahead and kind of blend that in spots, like right under the arm. We're going to make that a little darker. We'll go right underneath her face, just a little darker. And because her outfit is still wet with that original base layer, there we go. Kind of put a little bit on there. Then now we've created like a little bit of shadow. And anytime you can have lighter values and darker values, it's going to help significantly to make it look like more realistic. Okay. There. Okay, we'll do the same thing over here on Joseph. Put a little bit up under that arm, and then now kind of drag it down. Sweep, 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 sweep. Just quick little sweep, sweep, sweeps. Sweep, sweep, sweeps. Go. Oh yeah, guys. Oh yeah, they're starting to look a little bit more realistic. There we go. Okay. Now, technically, if you wanted to, you could have just painted this all like a silhouette, just a dark silhouette, which is kind of what I've done by not really showing much of the outfits or anything, like not showing much detail. So it's really up to you if that's what you want to do or not. I'm gonna have to use a smaller brush for that. Okay. So now I can use, while I have this tan in my brush, I can go ahead and just add a little bit, quick little sweeps right across the top. I've even had somebody paint this before where it looked like a very snowy, wintry scene, and they put like snow on the top of the manger. It was so pretty. Put just a little bit and a little bit. Okay. Maybe just a teeny bit in here, just like that. All right. So now, clean my brush, dry my brush. This is what we have so far. Okay. And we can go ahead and create some more contrast by taking our black and mixing it over here in the side of the brown. So we make a darker brown. We can use some of this darker brown to kind of go in here, just like this, especially on that under edge and along this under edge, and just kind of do quick, rough brush strokes, because again, remember it's wood. We'll do it at the base down here, like that, and at this base, like this. And then we'll put some in here. There we go. And then if you want to, if you're like, oh my goodness, this is too much between light and dark, you can go back with original brown, just the brown that comes in the tin, and just sweep a little bit of that in there where they kind of cross. Like this, kind of go up, go down into the dark, up into the light, and then that is going to blend just a little bit more so it's not so contrasting. Up to you. There we go. See, that looks very realistic. I love it. Okay. I forgot to put a little bit of dark in baby Jesus's outfit, didn't I? Okay. We'll just do a couple little quick flicks, just like that. Oh yeah, looking fabulous. right. Okay, now clean that off. Now I want to show y'all how to make a darker yellow because this is a very bright yellow, but I don't want to use all of that because I need some of that for the stars. In fact, I probably should have gave myself more yellow, but that's okay. Okay, so I just get a teeny bit, and I'm going to use just the teeniest bit of purple, like ant-size amount, because I don't have very much yellow right here in this little pile. And we mix this up, and the more purple we put in there, the more mustardy it's going to look, okay? The more purple, the more mustardy. There we go, and we'll get just a plop of white. And this potentially could be a great hay color. I think a little bit more purple. You can always do little test patches on the canvas to see what you think. So I'm trying to go for sort of a hay color. Hay! We'll outline baby Jesus because I don't want to paint him on accident when I'm getting crazy with my hay. There we go. There we go. Fabulous, friends. I am sure you guys are doing great. And this is a lot of small details. It's a little tricky. So number one, just believe in yourself. Number two, if you start to get stressed out, you walk away for a minute. You go get a drink, you get a little snack, go use the restroom, stretch your legs, and you're just gonna come back to it and feel a little refreshed. Okay? There, now, this is a very base color. So next, I can leave this all in my brush, grab a little bit of that tan from earlier that we made, that we used on the outfit, and we're gonna just kind of sort of stick a little bit of that in there. And I'm starting at baby Jesus and then flicking my brush out. Flick out, flick out, flick out, flick out. And what that does is it gives it a very feathered look. Just like that, okay? And then after this dries a little bit, we can pop some white in there too, okay? There we go. Now for the fun stars. Excited. Okay, I'm going to use that flat one, smaller flat one with the pointed corners. And then I am going to grab a little bit of white and I'm going to mix it in with my yellow. Okay. Here we go. Mix, 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 mix. And the reason I do this is so that it's not so see-through. Okay. Now, just in case there's a little bit of wet blue, two choices. Choice number one, wait, don't do it. Choice number two, or three choices. Choice number two, go blow dry. The only reason I use a blow dryer at home. Or choice number three, be careful. Which is usually my choice because I'm so impatient. Oh my gosh, as a child, I was so impatient. Like the worst. It's a good thing my husband's really chill. So our kids are not super impatient. But plus I've gained a lot of patience. The second I started teaching and I became a mom, because I became a mom and a teacher the same year. Well, I was already a mom to my stepson. But Ava was born the first year of my teaching. So I learned patience real quick. Having kids and being a teacher makes you be patient. Okay, so there's one star. Okay, fill it in, basic, nothing exciting. Here we go. Because we're going to add all the exciting here in a minute. I'm excited. Here we go. Oh yes, guys. Okay, outline fill in, outline fill in. Ta-da! Just base yellow. That's all I've done so far. Base yellow, okay? Got a little out of the line, so I'm going to stick a little bit more yellow right there. There, so hopefully it won't be so noticeable. See, nobody knows you get out of the lines unless you tell them. You can always fix it, right? Okay. So now, let's look back at the original. I don't want to tell you wrong. Okay. Let's use one of the smaller pointy ones, not the smallest though, okay? And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna use a little bit of that mustardy yellow, and I'm gonna come in here and add just some lines, just boop, 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 right inside the Sharpie line on top of the star, okay? And this is just gonna create just a little different pop of value, like a little different color. There we go. Can you see that? Gives a little extra something. Little extra something. Something, something. Okay. Now, I am actually going to flip this brush over and use the handle. This is one of my most favorite little tricks. And you can dip it in the yellow that we mixed white in, because remember, we don't want it to be see-through, or you could dip it in white. And you are basically just going to add some little twinkle stars. When you do these, you don't want too much paint on your brush handle, but you do need enough to be able, don't forget to go in the Manger, to be able to actually like make your dots, okay? You can even bring these dots like over on the sides. That's kind of fun sometimes. So it's like your painting spilled over to the edges. Okay, there we go. And how about down here, in there, in here, in here, in here. Okay. Now we don't actually have to, what words am I looking for? Oh, we don't have to actually do the spirals on all of these, okay? All right, so, boop, boop. Awesome. Okay, so now kind of step back for a minute, see if it looks pretty balanced. See if it seems like there might be a bare spot anywhere. Okay. Okay. Boop. All right, so now this is the part where you go, you just take a break or breath for a minute, okay? Just take a breath, okay? Because this, I think, is the fun part, but it stresses some people out. I'm going to get back in my yellow with my little brush. You could even grab the smallest brush there is. And we've got to make this feel a little more Van Gogh inspired. Unless you like it like this, then leave it. It's your canvas. No wrong answer. But if you want it to look a little more Van Gogh inspired, we're going to make little flicks of yellow right here around the edges, just like this, because we're going for a little bit of a glow, right? We're going for a little bit of a glow. This is a very, very, very soft touch. It's even a little bit broken in spots because it's not a perfect line, okay? Very soft touches. Super duper duper. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing to the other one. Boop, boop, boop. Barely touch your brush to the canvas. Take some deep breaths, have fun. Okay, right? Never, ever, ever stress when you're painting, because if you're stressing, then it's not fun anymore, okay? All right, so there's that. Now, while I have the yellow in my brush, I'm going to do circles that get bigger, so spirals around my dots, okay? Just like that. And some can go, what's that, counterclockwise? And some can go clockwise. You don't want them to all be going the same direction. Some can even go right off the canvas. Okay? And like I said, you don't have to do them all. You can just do some of them and then see how you feel. But definitely spread them around, okay? Spread them around where you're doing them. Now, if we want to kind of tie in the spiral a little bit, look, I could have carried this down and around like that. I could carry this up and into that one. I could carry this over and around. There we go. So you can have fun with these, okay? Now, once you get, oh, you know what? Let's, to baby Jesus, okay? So we're going to go boop, 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 boop. So it's a quick, just little flick, 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 okay? Just like that. Yes. Yes, please. I think I'm going to bring those down just a little bit. There. Okay, now I could go straight in the white. I'm just going to leave the yellow on my brush. I could go straight in the white, add a little bit of white in there in spots. Okay. Really kind of is going to make some of this pop a little. Putting that little bit of white on top is like, whoa, hello. Right? There we go. Okay. Now you could even take it one step further and okay, we could take it one step further and use some of that orange from earlier and add just little pops of orange in there, just a little bit here and there. Okay, just a little there, maybe here, maybe there. And the reason why I just do a little bit here and there is because there is such a thing as overdoing it. And then it becomes kind of tacky. Right? All right, guys. The sky's always my favorite part. Okay, so that is so fun. So fun. You can keep adding more, or you can keep it simple. You can go back and put some white twinkle stars in there. Definitely kind of step back from it, walk up to it from some different angles, see what you think about it before you do too much. You don't want to go overboard, like I said. Now let's see. I know we need some black, but really, I think that's about it. And some more white. Okay, so we're going to do a pop of white here, and here, and there, and a little bit right there, and a little bit there, and there, and actually I think I did that on the wrong side. Just wipe that off and do it on the other side. There we go. Maybe pop a white on the star. The reason why I did it on the roof like that is just to add a little pop of white, a little shine, okay? Then if you wanted to, you could go back with black, and I could do a little bit of black here, like that, a little bit of black here, a little bit of black there. It's up to you. Don't have to. Or you can wait and do it with your Sharpie. Doing it with a Sharpie is way less scary. But you have to let it dry because Sharpie doesn't work on wet paint. Even just do a couple little sweeps. Black in there. Okay. I love it. So sweet. Okay, thank you guys so much. I hope that you enjoyed the process. Remember, you can go back and rewind the video at any time. You can zoom in, maybe, I think, if you stretch your screen. Pause whenever you need to. And of course, we have more art kits that are not just holiday themed. We have all kinds, over 120 different just regular designs. So you guys, thanks so much for painting with me. I had a great time, and I cannot wait to do some more art with you.